I made a video recently. I should say I guest spotted on a video recently. And we were talking about gender identity issues and stuff like that. And it just made me think about something. So, I don't think we should put so much stress on things like DNA test, IQ test, aptitude test. And the reason I say that is, so when I was a kid, I took plenty of aptitude tests, and all of them said I was going to be a police officer. And my life didn't go that route. I didn't become a cop. When I was a little bit older, I took some intelligence tests to get out of a program that I was in high school. And I ended up having, at the time, the highest IQ in my high school. I scored perfectly on some comprehension stuff, and then average IQ on the math, But that's okay, because overall I had a high score, and they switched me out from vocational classes, from wood shop and auto shop, and they put me in debate and psychology and a few other high-level courses, but by then I was already a senior, so it didn't really matter. And it didn't affect my career or my life anyway. Then, when I had graduated college, over a span of about 5 years, just because I wanted to maintain my intellectual curiosity, I kept some of those accounts that you get for psychology reports and stuff like that. You get access to academic papers if you're willing to pay. And I kept it up for about 5 years. And in those 5 years, I took a different legitimate, I guess, clinical psychology, clinical personality test every year, just to kind of see if there'd be any change. And 5 years in a row, I scored within the 90th percentile of feminine attributes, meaning neuroticism and a few other things like that. So it said 90%, and I'm going to get back to that number in a second. So in my family history, my family in the last few years decided to take some ancestry tests, some 23andMe, and all of that said that we were Sephardic, which means Jewish from Spain. Now, my family is very Catholic, and we're very American, and most of my cousins don't speak Spanish. But on my father's side, during the time of the conversos and the Inquisition, my family was Jewish, but it doesn't really reflect on my current life. And it doesn't reflect on my mother's side of my family at all, because my mother's side has Native American ancestry. Okay. So those personality tests that said that I matched, that my answers matched 90% with, at the time, however many females had taken the test. Well, all that means is that those tests matched, those answers matched with 90% of female answers. It doesn't mean that my mind is 90% female. It just means that my answers matched. Same thing with that DNA test. The DNA test says that my DNA, or my family's DNA, matches with 90% of the people who had already taken the same DNA test, already had the same DNA sequencing. That does not mean that we are truly 90% Jewish, because obviously I'm not Jewish, I'm Catholic. And with the intelligence test, I mean, yeah, sure, so it showed that I had the potential to learn a lot, but it didn't mean that I was actually smart or that I actually knew anything. And intelligence declines after time, but the amount of knowledge that I had was greater than the amount of knowledge that I had when I took this test and I was shown to have a very high intelligence. So I know more now, even if I'm not as smart as I once was. Anyway, so it doesn't reflect on my actual knowledge, just reflects on the potential intelligence that I had. Same thing with those attributes, with those attribute tests, is that, or aptitude test, is that, I have a high attribute in these fields, but it doesn't mean that I went into that field. So the potential to be something, or the potential to express a certain trait, or to be part of or to have the same way of thinking as a certain community, doesn't make you part of that community. I just thought I'd say that because I was speaking to someone, Bree, on Lady Aven's channel, and I just thought I'd bring that up, is that those tests are not diagnostic, they're predictive, and they're not absolute. They just show potential, and they show matching. So all they're doing is showing who you match with, not necessarily who you are. Anyway, that's it. Have a great night.